So maybe a buy the rumor, sell the news in terms of CPI update and also most importantly Ethereum. So is it time to sell your crypto just in case, or maybe just a little bit of risk management? Let's get into it on this video, right? On the screen you can see the economic calendar. Just be careful, speculation could be very, very interesting around this. So we're expecting to come down. Forecasts have not been great over the last few years. Certainly when we look at the data, right? I've already talked about this on my Twitter this morning. If you've seen it, check it out. I'm going to do a more detailed post on my Patreon later about this as well. The reason being is because we've had some higher numbers on a lot of things. You can see here, gas, CRB index, coffee, copper, corn, cattle have all been much higher than the previous kind of month's data. The only elements that have come down is gasoline prices and oil prices. However, since the big print that we had from 9.1 down to 8.5, we had soaring gas prices, which then dropped massively. So we've got to look at those, essentially, oil and stuff. So there's a lot of things happening. Why is it important? Is because of money and spending power. We need to bring this money down, and it obviously affects crypto, it affects the S&P, the Nasdaq, etc. I'm going to show you how related crypto and the S&P is, and also all the other factors that we've got to take into consideration. It's all well and good people doing, I don't know, like a TA bit of text or whatever onto a chart, and yeah, whatever. But a lot of people are not looking at the bigger picture. That is where I have some issues. Ethereum. The merge is happening, a little bit of hype. Now, this is predominantly just a crypto story. Going from proof of work to proof of stake is a big thing. It's going to enable a lot more things for the future. However, it's only that one element, right? I am not fully bullish in terms of the now. Nothing really wants me to buy Ethereum right now. I think they could be a massive sell-off due to this. Withdrawals are not active, for one thing, and also the transaction fees and the speed of the transactions do not change yet. They will do eventually, and that is long-term good. However, for me, it is just going from one element to another element in terms of the mining configurations and how it will work. Big step forward, but nothing really to get you really, really excited. In my opinion, when we look at the Ethereum chart here, it doesn't really, it's not really, it's not really exciting in my opinion, right? When we see like what is happening, going from this bottom bounce here to here, obviously it's a nice big bounce, obviously, but I would have expected more. I would have expected a lot more rally and hype, and the market has portrayed this in terms of the S&P, the dollar, and most importantly Bitcoin and other assets as well, in terms of a similar sort of move up. It hasn't really stood out from the crowd. Even when we're looking at like the BTC dominance right now, okay, we're having a bit of a run. It's indicating that essentially the Ethereum dominance is dropping, which as you can see by here, we have been. If this carries on going down, the Ethereum power has kind of just stopped off a little bit, and this merge is happening on Thursday. So it could be a very, very clear buy the rumor, sell the news. Now let's talk about the obvious. I need to talk about this. We need to talk about why the whole entire markets are moving the way they are. This is the main thing of this video. The dollar is on this top left just above my head, right? Which is fair enough. Ignore this one here, that's just the yield, it's fine. So the dollar has been strong, but it has been pulling back. That is an obvious, relation to the fact that the S&P has bounced. So has the Nasdaq here, which is important to note. But also, so is cryptocurrency. So is Bitcoin. And also the dominance of BTC, the dominance of the US, the Tether essentially, dominance has dropped. If this goes down, this goes up, right? If this goes down, crypto goes up. If these go up, crypto tends to go up too. So what's happening next? Well, this is where we've got to look at the big data and the CPI and going back to that. If the data is bad, there's a chance that we're probably going to dump. If it's good news, i.e. it's coming down, there's probably going to be a short-term pump. However, there's more things at play here. We've got a double-digit correction in the housing market, which could be a problem longer term. The employment rate could change going into the new quarter, and also the earnings of that quarter and into Q1 could be very, very interesting to see what happens with the stock market. If that stock market does drop and continue to drop, we could be in for a bit more pain, which is why I'm saying maybe selling some of your crypto if you bought these lows, i.e. if you were buying these little lows down here. Obviously altcoins look a lot better for obvious reasons. Let's look at some altcoins. Look at Polkadot, for example. You know, if you've been buying some of these lows like $6 and you've not taken anything off the table, you should probably look at doing so. Obviously Ethereum, you can see, apologies, you can see the picture here. If you were buying that dip, basically, some assets don't look like they've done much, but they actually have in terms of percentage levels, because the price has dropped that much over the course of it. Now, what I am not saying, there's nothing wrong with you actually buying some of these levels, right? In the long term scheme of things, i.e. if you are bullish on certain cryptos and you're happy to buy. However, I think this week you're probably better off just sitting on your hands. That's all I'm going to say. As common sense value goes and not financial advice, maybe just wait and see what the data brings, just in case, because if you're on the wrong side of it, you don't want to be a part of that, and you do not want to be hurting, because it could be some very, very interesting metrics that could hurt. Now, one thing that I am going to say here is the trusty old little mechanism that I use for a lot of my entries is turning towards the good side, i.e. it's going down, which is indication that the dominance of the stable currencies are getting lower, therefore they're in the market, right? If you want to know more about this, check out my Patreon. I teach it, and it's a really, really good metric for being on the right side of the market. Now, the fundamentals of this is simple. When this starts to go down and trend down, it's usually good for the market going long, right? Usually. The fundamentals are, this could be a false one. You always wait for a retest. So in this situation with Ethereum, we've had a crossover tick. We've had a push to the upside tick. However, I want to show you something, because when we finish and talk about this, this is where the most of the market's going to be, Ethereum, in my opinion, at the moment. Have we formed in a lower high? Maybe. If this does pull back and finds demand, and then it carries on going up, it's a good solid entry point, right? Because you found demand, you've had a correction. We are looking for the correction of said move here, and we want to try and buy into it with strength from others, which obviously makes sense, right? The problem is, if this does not bounce, this is just going to continue going up, and this red line will go up again, and we're going to be looking at short. The one thing that I will say is this level here could be very, very important for Ethereum. If something goes wrong, or it is a sell the news event, we will probably get a lot of like rundown into this region, right? If it obviously fails to hold that level, we're probably going to go back down to, you know, basically $1,200, give or take, around that level. So just be careful, right? With the CPI updates, with the core of that as well, with the potential interest rate hike on the 21st, I believe, it's going to be a very volatile couple of weeks, in my opinion. September naturally has bad months. It crossed the S&P, crossed the Nasdaq, Bitcoin as well, not great. We're only 12 days into it. It's been a random mad 12 days if you're in the UK as well. However, we just need to look at a few things. To close this, we've got to look at the dollar as well, right? I mentioned it before. If this does bounce and carry on going up because certain elements have happened. Now, one of the main reasons why this is dropping is because of Europe. Europe's had a bit more of hopium due to the fact that they're tackling the inflation. The ECB did a massive rate hike. That's showing confidence that they're actually trying to sort stuff out now. A lot of investors bought into that. The UK now, even though Her Majesty has passed away, we've got a Prime Minister. A little bit of stability there. The FTSE's bounced quite significantly, and the UK economy has actually shown some signs of growth over the last month or so, right? Which is good. But either way, right, if we look at this at the zooming out level, they could be temporary bounces, and we could be finding that this will continue going up. If the CPI update is strong, there's a chance that this may go up anyways, realistically, because a lot more people want to invest in the dollar because they're actually starting to get ahead of it in terms of bringing those inflation rates down. However, that being said, my overall opinion on this, if we're looking at the obvious here, I think we're going to stay relatively the same. My personal opinion is, even though we've had a massive decline in the last one, I don't think we're going to do the same sort of big jump. I will be covering it live as a reaction tomorrow if you've obviously subscribe and press the bell button to get notifications of that. But with the elements of a lot of things going up at the same time, I can't see this being a massive change personally. 8.1 seems a bit of a run. If it's 8.5 or 8.4, I think a lot of people will be disappointed, and it probably will say that, okay, maybe we haven't really topped out. Certainly when you think that if they are going to do a 75 base point hike, it may well it may well affect a lot of things overall. So there you go. We need things to move in the right fashion. If these are going to continue going down, it's not good for crypto. It's not good for a lot of things.